Shalom. Let's start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rekach Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is the Mayim in Atlanta, and the big news for today is that Israel attacked Iran, and Iran has responded. And here's some news articles I pulled up because I saw that Iran said that they were declaring all-out war on the Israelis. So I was looking for that. Didn't quite see the tweet I was looking for. But even right here it says Iran's supreme leader says Israel initiated a war. And Lord will, this attack actually makes the Iranians and the Ishmaelites remember their nature and go back on the attack to where they actually go in on this and not just one attack. This should go into a whole war because both Israel and the U.S. have touched your nation and they've really done nothing about it. They had that drone attack that they did last year where they were actually able to get through the Iron Dome, but nothing since then. And this attack took out multiple leaders for the Iranians, so they need to respond. And Lord will, this is where they actually respond. Hopefully all of the Arab world gets involved in this, because that's prophecy and we want to see prophecy come into fruition. Reuters says Iran's supreme leader says Israel initiated a war. A war is being had. And so I've got this pulled up, this Reddit page. It's called Combat Footage, and it goes into, basically just shows combat footage, just like it says. So it has a lot on Russia.
يا الله نقول يا الله البس صواريخ اتجهت لإسرائيل. صواريخ؟ اي والله مو الطيارات. صواريخ
هذه من سماء تل أبيب. وعلى ما يبدو بأن أنظمة الدفاع الجوي الإسرائيلي. ونحن الآن نتابع هذا الصاروخ الذي سقط في
Oh my God. Opa. Pilot.
Okay.
نزدیک پارچینه. آره. نمیدونم میبینید یا نه.
اون پایین قشنگ آتیشی رو بلند شد تا فیلم بگیرم دیر شد. اون برم اینجا زده. اوه واو، چه اتصالی میکنه اون چیز برق زده انگار.
Right, so the gist of it, war is going down, and this is all initiated by the Israelis. They claim that the Iranians are close to building a nuclear weapon and that they can't be trusted with a nuclear weapon. But obviously, it's these Amalekites, these small hatters, that cannot be trusted with any type of weaponry because they are a bloody people. All of Idumea, all of Edom, Edom being the so-called white man, including those small hatters, their blessing is the sword. So they have ruled through violence. They're the ones that shouldn't have any weaponry at all for the good of the world, because they're madmen. They are crazy. They're a people that would steal someone's nationality. They're crazy, and they have no claim to that land because these are the Edomites. They shouldn't be there in the first place. And so it's really all them starting this, in which it's going to draw out America to defend them, and it's going to draw out all of the nations to go to World War III. But this is Jeremiah 49 and verse 20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem El Shai, that he hath taken against Edom, Edom being the so-called white man, including those small hatters, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman, Teman going into the Germans. So surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. The least of the flock are these Israelis. They are the newest country of Idumea, of Edom, and they have one of the lowest populations. They are the least of the flock. And once we're in the kingdom and the first has become last and the last become first, they're going to be at the absolute bottom of everyone, even other Edomites. The Amalekites are going to be at the absolute bottom because they have been at the top. They're the first of the nations currently, but they will be the last of the nations in the kingdom in their rightful position. They're the basest of men. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. It's going to bring the Babylonians, the Americans in, because that's their closest ally. And it's going to culminate into World War III. It's going to draw out all of the nations into this great war, which will be the last war on this earth. So surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. So if you're following these Amalekites, the least of the flock, nothing good is going to come for you. So let's see what they're being gathered to, what they're being drawn out to. This is Joel 3 and verse 2. I will also gather all nations, every single nation the Lord's going to gather, even including Israelites, because 2/3 are going to go fight this war as well. This says, and will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, which is the Lord's judgment, and will plead with them there. That word plead even goes into judgment for my people and for my heritage Israel, because they have taken the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They've taken us and treated us unjustly. They went way too far. We were supposed to be punished through slavery, but these Edomites have done far too much. They took away our heritage and placed it on them. The other nations are guilty for being allies with the Edomites. There's Psalms 83, which tells you that all these enemies of the Lord have devised a tumult for the Israelites and for the Lord. And so the Lord's going to judge them for it. It says, whom they have scattered among the nations. The Israelites have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, in which earlier I said that Israelites are the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, but also are scattered. And so we're going to come back looking like all of the other nations. But as long as you go back through your father's lineage to an Israelite, then you are an Israelite, no matter how far that goes back. But they have scattered us among the nations and parted my land. And the Lord's land was parted. It tells you that here in Ezekiel 36 and 5. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, so what's remaining of the heathen, and against all Idumea. Idumea is the Greek way of saying Edom, and Edom's the so-called white man, including the small hatters. And they have parted the Lord's land. They had their Balfour Declaration. That's why the small hats are there currently, as well as the Ishmaelites. Those are the residue of the heathen. The heathen are in the Lord's land currently. There's even Hamites there and other nations there. They've parted the Lord's land, and so they're going to have to pay for that. It says, which have appointed my land into their possession. That's their Balfour Declaration, which they just did themselves, with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. These heathen have been so happy to be able to call themselves the Lord's people and to actually be in that land. And this is all Idumea. You see the so-called white Christians, they love that Amalek is in the land, and they sponsor them. They give a ton of money every single year to Amalek, to the people that the Lord completely hates. And the Lord's about to cast them out. That's why World War III has started. We just read it in Joel 3. And these small hatters have drawn them out to this battle. Let's go back to Jeremiah real quick, because it said something there. It said he's going to make their Jeremiah 49 and 20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And so let's go hear about how the Lord's going to make their habitations desolate. It's Ezekiel 35 and verse 2. Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir. So we're not actually just going and looking at Mount Seir. This is speaking of to all of the Edomites. This was one of their capital cities, or Mount Seir was, but it's now just speaking to all of Idumea, all the Edomites, no matter where they are, whether they're in Australia or somewhere in Europe or in America or in Israel or South Africa. We're prophesying against them, telling them that they're about to be taken out of power and be destroyed in this World War III, that their NWO is not going to work, that their MOTB, which that has to come too before World War III really gets kicking, the micro C hip is going to be made mandatory first, which that is very near, considering how near World War III is, and telling them all this isn't going to work and that you're going into slavery. And after your slavery, your 1,000 long hard years of slavery, you're going to be taken off of this earth, every single one of you. No son nor nephew left. Nothing. Because of how wicked you've been. Not setting your face against Mount Seir and prophesying against it, letting them know what their future holds. Verse 3, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord power, behold, O Mount Seir, these Idumeans, these Edomites, so-called white people, and these small hatters, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. Jeremiah 49 said, surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. Following the Amalekites will lead to desolation. It says, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Isaiah 14:21 says, prepare slaughter for his children, so that they do not rise nor inhabit the cities thereof. The Lord wants you gone. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel. And have they not? They came over here slaughtering Gad, so-called Native Americans, and slaughtering Reuben, slaughtering the rest of the northern kingdom, so-called Latinos, and then they imported the so-called Negroes, the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, over to this side of the earth, slaughtered us, enslaved us. They enslaved Gad as well, and Reuben. And this is their payment. This is what's coming. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword. So through their blessing, the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end, because they just went way too far. Isaiah 47 speaks of how he was wroth with this people, gave us, the Israelites, into their hands, the Edomites. And he says the Edomites did show us no mercy. And as the Lord says, show no mercy to them that gave no mercy. Paraphrasing, they get no mercy. And once thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. You're about to be spoiled. It says, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. If thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Yeah, they're a bloody people. They like their meat raw and bloody. They like to inflict harm on people through their blessing the sword. They're bloody. So it's going to come back on them. It says, thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will, because he's going to completely cut off your lineage. He says, and I will fill his mountains, so its governments, with his slain men. In thy hills and in thy valleys and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. So there's a great slaughter coming for Idumea. I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Because once they fall, they're never going to rise up again. They will never have any more power, because Yahweh Shai is coming. And there's no need to have wickedness in his righteous kingdom. They're going to be used to build up the kingdom, and then they're going to walk one by one, be pushed one by one into a great bonfire. It's spoken of in Obadiah 1:18. I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. because thou hast said, these two nations, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, in these two countries, America, Babylon the Great, and the land of Israel, shall be mine, because they got too carried away with their colonizing, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there. They took the land of Israel and are pretending to be the Lord's people, but the Lord truly hates them, and these are his plans. He's going to spew them out of that land. It says, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord power, I will even do according to thine anger and according to thine envy, because that's really what it is. They envy the Israelites, which turned into hate, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, because they absolutely hate us. And I will make myself known among them, and he's given us his name, he's given us his son's name, Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. We know him now. When I have judged thee, your judgment is coming. The Lord has saved you all the way for this day that is coming. You're the wicked that have been saved for the day of destruction. You are going down, Esau. And sending that attack is just accelerating it. So, Lord willing, that was edifying. Lord willing, this war increases and increases, and they finally introduce and make that MOTB mandatory. And Lord will, Yahweh Shai comes back very soon to deliver us. And so, I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, or Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.